despairrepair.com. Hi everyone, and welcome to despairrepair.com. In this video we're going to show you how to fix a car horn problem. We'll be showing this on a Skoda Fabia Mark 1, but the basic principle applies to all cars. So if when you press the horn switch nothing happens, we'll show you what to do. Regarding the tools you'll need in order to fix a car horn problem. You'll need a basic set of ratchets and sockets, or a basic set of wrenches. You'll need a multimeter or electric tester in order to properly diagnose the problem. You'll need a pair of combined pliers if you have to do some rewiring or change a connector, perhaps. A set of trim tools. It's not necessary, but it will come in handy. A small flathead screwdriver, a pair of jumper cables, and a battery charger. Jumper cables and the battery charger are used for testing the car horn, if it's okay or not. All depending on the nature of the car horn problem, you may need some or all of these tools. The first thing you should do if you encounter a car horn problem is check the car horn fuse. In order to save some time, I'll leave a link below for a video that we made separately on that topic. So in the video you can see how to find the fuse box location, how to find the horn fuse or other fuses, and how to replace it. Now, if you concluded that the car fuse is okay, or it was burnt out and you replaced it and still the car horn doesn't work, the next step is to gain access to the car horn and see if it has power input. Before you start the repair, of course, you have to find the car horn. On most cars, the horn will be located in the front bumper, okay, on either the left or the right side, or behind the front grille, upper or lower part. On this part, I would advise best to Google the car horn location of your car in order to save yourself some time. Depending on the car type, it may be easy to access, or you may have to do some dismantling of the plastic trimming or covering. In case of the Skoda Fabia, the horn is located on the driver's side of the car behind a plastic covering right beside the fog light. The next thing we'll do is take off the plastic lid. Behind it is the car horn. On most car models there will be a solution like this one, so you can easily access the car horn, so you don't have to dismantle the bumper or have a lot of work around it. Again, it would be best to Google it and find the best solution for your car model. What you'll need in order to do this job is a small flathead screwdriver like this one, or a trim tool. We'll use the trim tool because there is less damage to the bumper paint. Okay, on this covering you'll find two clips here, and insert the trim tool where the clips are until you hear a clicking sound. That will be the clips releasing. Do it same on the other side. Okay, like this. And go sort of around it until it releases. And out comes the plastic covering. In this hole is the horn. So there you have it. Right behind the plastic lid is the car horn, right there. Now, I hope you can see this. The first thing we'll have to do in order to check the connector of the car horn is to pull the car horn out. We'll have to do this in order to gain access to the connector itself. On some car models you'll perhaps will not have to do this, since you can maybe access the connector from this side. Anyway, on the Skoda, the first thing we have to do is take off this screw right here. It's a 13 millimeter, and we'll use this ratchet and a long extension and a 13 millimeter socket. Now we've inserted the ratchet, and now we're going to loose the screw like this. I'm going to put my hand in here and take the screw out. The screw came out. Now, once you've removed the screw and released the horn, you'll find a connector, wire harness connector, on the horn. You should remove it. It's on the Skoda, it's a bit tricky. You have to release this little latch here and remove the connector. The best way to do it is use a bigger flathead screwdriver. Release the latch, sort of lift it up, and press the screwdriver against the horn, lift up the latch, and remove the wire harness. Okay, and pull out the horn. Now this is the very important part. From this part, you'll be able to properly diagnose the problem. You gain access to the connector. I hope you can see it here. And on this part, you'll be able to conclude whether the problem is with the car horn or the rest of the installation. Either it's a bad connector, maybe a bad horn relay, maybe a bad horn switch, or whatever. The way to test it is to use either a battery tester like this one or a multimeter. Okay, I prefer to use the battery tester as it's less complicated. Okay, now this may be a bit tricky since this is a pin connector. If the clamp of the tester can't reach the connector inside properly, you can use two pieces of wire and extend the connection. We'll try to do it without that, so we'll put the clamp on one side like this and use the battery tester pin to put it in the other pin of the connector. Just watch not to make a short circuit. So what you're essentially doing here is closing the loop. Okay, instead of the car horn, the bulb inside the tester should light up or not, and then you'll know if the rest of the installation or the power output is correct. Okay, so here we go. On this part, you're going to have to ask someone to press the horn switch in order for you to be able to watch what's happening. On some cars, you may have to give contact or not. So here we go. We're putting the tester into position. We're going to ask someone to press the horn switch. If the rest of the horn installation is okay, the tester will light up and you'll know that it's okay. Again, there you have it. It's lighting up, so the installation is okay. If you're going to use a multimeter instead of a tester, the principle is the same. So first, put the multimeter setting to 20 volts direct current. Okay, if you have a 24 volt installation, perhaps if you're doing this on a pickup truck or a truck, put it to 24 volts direct current. Okay, the next thing, take the testers of the multimeter, pull the connector out and put them inside the pin like this. It's a bit tricky. Again, if you have problems, use pieces of wire to make an extension. Now take a look at the multimeter. If everything is okay, once the horn switch is pressed, you'll get voltage on the multimeter and you'll know that everything is okay. So once more, this is the beginning point after you've looked at the fuse. how to diagnose the problem. If the power input to the horn is okay, then you have a problem with the rest of the installation. If the input is okay and you have power coming from the installation, then you have a problem with the horn. The next thing you should do is test the car horn, if it's faulty or not. I made these wire extensions like this one in order to test the car horn more easily, since on the Skoda it has a pin-like connector and the contacts inside are pretty deep, so they're pretty hard to reach. So I took two pieces of some old wiring, put them inside so I can connect the plus and minus of the power input. Perhaps you won't need to do this if you encounter a car horn like this one. This is an old aftermarket car horn where the contacts can be freely accessed. Okay, in that case you won't need the wire extensions. Just put the plus and minus of the power input here and here. Now, the next thing you'll have to do is to provide a power supply in order to test the car horn. This is where the jumper cables come in, okay? So, if you have a pair of jumper cables, just connect the red one to the plus terminal and connect the black one to the minus terminal of the battery. Just make sure that they're separate when testing the car horn in order not to make a big short circuit. This is one way of running a power supply to test the car horn. One more thing you can use in order to test the car horn for a power input is a battery charger. If you want to use a battery charger, just plug it into a power outlet and use the clamps for connecting to the contacts of the horn. I myself like to use jumper cables better. Choose whatever you have. The main thing is to know the voltage of the car horn. So if you have a 12 volt car horn, use a 12 volt power output. If you have 24 volt, use a 24 volt power output. Main thing to remember is don't make a mistake of using a higher voltage on a lower voltage car horn. Okay, so if you have a 12 volt car horn, using 24 volts will damage it. Now for testing the car horn. So take the plus one, connect it to one wire like this. Take the minus one and connect it to the other wire. You don't have to keep it connected, just give it a bit of a touch. So there it is. And this way you'll know if the car horn is okay. In this case the car horn is okay, so you know you can return it back. If the car horn is not okay, there is one more thing you can do. On the horn itself you'll see this sort of bulge here on the horn. Underneath it is a screw for adjustment and setting. It's covered in a plastic or rubber resin, and you can remove this with a screwdriver, sort of scrape it off and pick it out, and you can try to adjust the car horn. Okay, you can turn it left or right and try to adjust the horn. Also, if the horn sound is weak, or if when you connect the wires to the power output and only a small spark appears here, it seems as if though the horn sort of wants to work but it can't, this is also the place to look. Okay, you should also try the adjustment screw. You should be patient. The resin is a bit resilient, so it will take time to pick off. The first thing you do is sort of turn it full right, then full left, connect the power output, and then try to adjust it until you get the correct sound. I'll show you that example on this old aftermarket car horn. Here you can maybe see it better. Here you have an open adjustment screw, and you can turn it left to right to adjust it. Okay, so again, we'll connect the plus and connect the minus. Just once more, take care not to connect the clamps or else you'll cause a big short circuit. So, as you can see, it has a weak sound. Okay, try to turn it a bit left or right. This is for you to get the principle, whatever car horn you have. Let's now give it a try. Okay. Turn some a bit more. More to one side. A bit more. And as you can see, it's getting a bit better. This is an old car horn, so maybe it's not that good of an example, but I hope you get the basic principle. So, before buying a new car horn, if it doesn't work at all, or when testing it, you get just small sparks when touching the contacts of the car horn or the wire extensions, try to adjust it. If there is no power output on the connector, one more common fault could be the horn switch right here. One more place to look are the indicator stocks. Okay, they're also known to cause problems. This is a much more complicated repair as it involves taking off the horn switch complete with the airbag, taking off the steering wheel, and replacing the indicator stocks. Also, probably the most expensive repair if you have a car horn problem. Now to make a short recap. So, if you have a proper power output, it's time to either adjust the horn or completely replace it. If you don't have proper output to the car horn, it's time to check the fuse, check the relay, check the horn switch, or check the indicator stock, or check for a bad connection, perhaps on the connector, or for broken wiring. The last thing we need to do is to return the car horn that we took off. So do just everything essentially in reverse order. First, insert the car horn into place, grab hold of the connector, see on which side it properly fits, put the connector on and push it until you hear a small clicking sound like this one. Next, see that everything fits properly, align it with the hole on the bracket, holding it there, and then insert the screw. It's a bit cramped here, so try to, there it is. Insert the screw, make sure everything aligns properly. With the Skoda, on the bracket there are limiters here, so you'll know that the horn is fixed in place properly. Next, we need the ratchet and socket. I'm gonna have to move the camera a bit like this. Okay, so insert the ratchet and tighten up. Okay, you can hold the horn with one hand and with the other you can tighten. And don't overdo it, just tighten so it stands in place properly. And there you have it, the horn is returned. When returning the plastic covering, put the lower hinges first into place. Make sure they sit in properly and just push it back into place until you hear a clicking sound. If everything is okay, it should click into place without a problem. So there you have it. This is the way to solve a car horn problem. Just one more word of advice at the end. In case you get a car horn problem for, let's say, the Skoda, I would advise, if the car horn is faulty, I would advise to buy the same one as the one in the car. it will be less problem to reinstall the car horn in terms of the bracket holding the car horn and the wiring harness connector. But if you, however, decide to install a different car horn, like this old aftermarket one, there will be some more work around it, as you will probably have to adjust the bracket and you'll have to adjust the wiring. Namely, you'll probably have to cut off the old connector from the manufacturer and install two separate connectors for each connection. Perhaps you'll want to install two horns. You want to change the location of the horn, or whatever suits you best. The main thing to know here is that you'll have a bit more work around it. So thanks for watching. I hope this video helps. Give us a visit at dispairrepair.com on our website, where you can find this whole procedure in more detail. We hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, please click the subscribe button. For more information on how to do checkups and simple repairs around the car, be sure to visit us at dispairrepair.com.